All right, welcome back, everyone. Get ready for a deep dive into something you might not expect. Um, Air fryer rockfish. It might sound a little niche, but trust me, there's a lot more to it than meets the eye. So, you sent over this transcript, right, for a podcast episode about rockfish. And, well, I think it's time we break down why this is more than just another, recipe.
I know, right? It's kind of funny, Something so simple like rockfish in an air fryer can be so intriguing. For me, it's the whole idea that this could really change how we think about healthy eating?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, who doesn't want to eat healthy without, like, spending hours in the kitchen? In this recipe, it's like, what, 5 ingredients?
Exactly. And it's not just about how quick it is. It's like we're always hearing about eating healthy, right? But who actually has time for all those complicated recipes?
Totally. And let's be real, sometimes those healthy recipes, they just don't, taste that great.
Exactly. So this air fryer method could be a game changer, especially for people who think healthy cooking has to be this big, like, ordeal.
Okay, so we've got the convenience factor down, Pat, but
Yeah.
let's talk about the rockfish itself, right?
Right.
The transcript describes it as mild, tender, and perfect for air frying.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently it gets this, like, amazing crispy crust on the outside, but stays all juicy on the inside.
Oh, that crispy crust. Yeah, that's the magic of air frying right there. It's like this, imagine a tiny tornado of hot air just swirling around your fish. And as it cooks, that hot air whisks away moisture from the surface. That's what creates that crunchy exterior. But because it cooks so quickly, the inside stays perfectly flaky and moist.
Ah, that makes so much sense. I was wondering about that. And I like that the recipe keeps the seasoning pretty simple. It's just garlic powder, onion powder, paprika, a little salt and pepper.
Right. But
Yeah.
nothing crazy. And sometimes that's the best approach, especially when you're dealing with like delicate flavors. Like with rockfish, you don't want to overpower its natural taste. Those spices, they're just there to enhance the sweetness of the fish, not mask it.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so, like, I'm picturing myself in the kitchen right now, ready to try this out. What's the first step?
Okay, so first things first. You got to preheat your air fryer to 400 degrees Fahrenheit. While that's heating up, take your rockfish fillets. And, this is important, pat them dry. Like, really dry.
Oh, okay, so we're talking desert dry, right?
Yeah.
Not just a quick dab.
Exactly. You want to get rid of as much surface moisture as possible. If there's too much moisture, it'll steam the fish instead of letting it crisp up. It seems like a small thing, but it makes a big difference in the final texture.
Got it. So we've preheated, patted the fish dry. What's next?
All right, so now you'll drizzle your fillets with a little bit of oil and then coat them with that spice blend we talked about. The garlic powder, onion powder, paprika, salt, and pepper. Now, here's where you can get a little creative if you want.
Okay, I like where this is going.
If you're feeling adventurous, add a pinch of cayenne pepper for a little kick. Or maybe some dried herbs like thyme or oregano.
Oh, yeah, that's a good idea. It's amazing how just a few little tweaks can totally change up a dish. Okay, so the fish is seasoned. It's ready to go. What's the grand finale?
Okay, so carefully place those seasoned fillets in the air fryer basket. Make sure they're not overlapping, so they can cook evenly. And then let them sizzle away for about 12 to 15 minutes, flipping them halfway through.
Okay, got it. 12 to 15, flip halfway.
Yep, that's it.
Easy enough. Now, I know the recipe mentions looking for that golden brown color and, making sure the fish is flaky, but is there anything else we should be looking out for?
You're right to bring that up. Visual cues are helpful, but when it comes to food safety, especially with seafood, you want to be extra careful. Make sure you check the internal temperature of the fish. It needs to reach 145 degrees Fahrenheit. A good instant read thermometer is your best friend for that.
Good point. Nobody wants to mess around with undercooked fish. So once we've, checked the temperature, made sure it's all cooked through, what's next?
All right, so this is where the finishing touches come in. The recipe suggests a squeeze of fresh lemon juice and some chopped parsley for garnish. It's a simple step, but it really adds a burst of freshness, It brightens up the whole dish.
Yeah, I love a good squeeze of lemon. It's amazing how something so simple can, like, elevate a meal,
Yeah.
but it's not just about how it looks, right?
Right, exactly. Lemon juice isn't just for show. It adds a little bit of acidity, which cuts through the richness of the fish. It adds another layer of flavor, a little complexity. And the parsley, well, that's not just a pretty green sprinkle, It adds a fresh kind of herbaceous note that balances out the other flavors. It's all about creating that, perfect harmony on your plate.
So we've gone from this simple recipe to, like, a culinary masterpiece in just a few
Yeah.
steps. And what's really striking me is how this whole process, like, demystifies healthy cooking, you know? It doesn't have to be complicated or bland to be good for you.
You got it. This air fryer rockfish recipe is proof that healthy eating can be convenient and delicious. And dare I say, even fun. I mean, we've got minimal ingredients, a foolproof cooking method, and the flavors are both satisfying and, sophisticated.
Absolutely. I'm totally with you on that. This deep dive has been like a real eye-opener. I used to think air fryers were just for French fries and, chicken nuggets, but clearly they're so much more versatile.
For sure. And think about, the possibilities beyond this specific recipe. You could swap out the rockfish for another flaky whitefish, like cod or haddock. Or you could even use the same technique to cook up some crispy vegetables, asparagus, broccoli, even Brussels sprouts. They all turn out amazing in the air fryer.
Oh man, you're making me hungry.
Yeah.
And the best part is, we're not sacrificing flavor or health for convenience.
Nope.
It's a win-win.
It really is. And I think that's what makes this recipe so appealing, It taps into that desire we all have for delicious, healthy meals without spending hours in the kitchen.
So if you had to pick one thing,
Yeah.
like what stood out to you the most from this whole deep dive?
That's a good question. I think for me, it's the reminder that simple solutions are often the best. We tend to overcomplicate things, especially when it comes to cooking. But this recipe proves that you can achieve amazing results with just a handful of ingredients and a clever cooking technique.
I love that takeaway. Simple is often best. And speaking of simple, I think it's safe to say this air fryer rockfish is going straight into my weeknight dinner rotation. What about you?
Yeah, for sure. Simple is definitely best sometimes. So this air fryer rockfish, I'm definitely adding this to my weeknight dinner rotation. What about you? Are you going to try this out?
Oh yeah, for sure. This one's a keeper. It's a good reminder that healthy eating doesn't have to be, a chore. It can be fun, it can be flavorful, and it can be surprisingly easy. And, while we've been focusing on this specific recipe, I think there's a bigger lesson here.
Oh, okay. I'm intrigued. Tell me more. Well, think about it. The air fryer itself, it's really just a tool, right? And like any tool, its potential is limited by our imagination. This recipe is a great starting point. But what else could we create? What other flavors could we explore?
Yeah.
What other ingredients could we transform?
That's such a good point. It's like we've unlocked this whole new world of culinary possibilities.
Yeah.
And we've only just scratched the surface.
Exactly. And that's the beauty of it, It encourages us to think outside the box, to get creative in the kitchen without sacrificing time or health. I mean, who knows? Maybe you'll be the one to discover the next, air fryer sensation.
Okay, now you're speaking my language. Challenge accepted.
Yeah.
But seriously, I think that's a fantastic note to leave our listener on. Don't be afraid to experiment, to try new things,
Yeah.
to push the boundaries of what's possible in the kitchen,
Couldn't agree more. And remember, the most important ingredient in any recipe is your own creativity.
So well said. All right, that wraps up our deep dive into the world of air fryer rockfish. Who knew we could uncover so much from, such a seemingly simple recipe?
Right. It just goes to show there's always something new to learn, even from the most unexpected places.
And on that note, we'll leave you with this final thought.
Yeah.
Embrace the unexpected. Don't be afraid to experiment in the kitchen. Try new ingredients, new techniques, and yes, even new gadgets. You never know what delicious discoveries await. Until next time, happy cooking. Yeah, for sure. Simple is definitely best sometimes. So this air fryer rockfish, I'm definitely adding this to my weeknight dinner rotation. What about you? Are you going to try this out?
Oh, absolutely. I think this recipe is a real winner. It's such a great reminder that healthy eating doesn't have to be a chore. It can be fun, flavorful, and surprisingly easy. And while we've been focusing on this specific recipe, I think there's a bigger lesson here.
Oh, okay. I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
Well, think about it. The air fryer itself is really just a tool. And like any tool, its potential is only limited by our imagination. This recipe is a great starting point. But what else could we create with it? What other flavors could we explore?
Yeah.
What other ingredients could we transform?
That's such a good point. It's like we've unlocked this whole new world of culinary possibilities.
Yeah.
And we've only just scratched the surface.
Exactly. And that's the beauty of it. It encourages us to think outside the box, To get creative in the kitchen without sacrificing time or health. I mean, who knows? Maybe you'll be the one to discover the next air fryer sensation.
Okay, now you're speaking my language. Challenge accepted. But seriously, I think that's a fantastic note to leave our listener on. Don't be afraid to experiment, to try new things, push the boundaries of what's possible in the kitchen.
I couldn't agree more. And remember, the most important ingredient in any recipe is your own creativity.
So well said. All right, that wraps up our deep dive into the world of air fryer rockfish. Who knew we could uncover so much from such a seemingly simple recipe?
Right. It just goes to show you there's always something new to learn, even from the most unexpected places.
And on that note, we'll leave you with this final thought. Embrace the unexpected. Don't be afraid to experiment in the kitchen, try new ingredients, new techniques, and yes, even new gadgets. You never know what delicious discoveries await. Until next time, happy cooking.